So, good afternoon and welcome everyone. So, today's topic is food poisoning. And food poisoning is, I think everyone knows, it is a common entity and it is a common topic and a very common presentation in emergency department. Emergency ma चाहिँ food poisoning भएर पेशेन्टहरू आइरहेको हुन्छ. So, आजको टपिक चाहिँ आज चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ the different causes of food poisoning. What are the signs and symptoms of food poisoning to discuss some, and symptoms the causes of food poisoning are more important because symptoms are diagnosing food poisoning is relatively easy, and the symptoms are GI symptoms. Usually they present with GI symptoms. So food poisoning means food poisoning. So these are any illnesses that are produced by ingestion or consuming contaminated food or drink. So any illnesses. So it can be usually they are GI symptoms. And when we eat something, when we drink something which is contaminated by some organism or some toxins, and if we develop symptoms, they are called food poisoning. And they are also called foodborne illnesses. And there are various causes of food poisoning. And these causes are bacteria, viruses, fungi, protozoa, toxins from plants, animals, and some chemicals. And these are usually infective, but sometimes these can also be non-infective, which means that the symptoms are not due to the bacteria and viruses, but due to the toxins which are released from these bacteria and viruses. So infective form, it is called gastroenteritis. Right? If food poisoning is due to infection, there is inflammation of the mucosa of the stomach or intestine, it is called gastroenteritis. Right? And if it is due to non-infective cause, that means if it is due to toxins released from the organisms, then it is also called food poisoning. Right? So food poisoning ko under ma infective or non-infective huncha. So infective form is called gastroenteritis. Right? And non-infective is usually due to toxins or toxins which are produced by different organisms, which may be bacteria, viruses, fungi, and plants and animals. But food poisoning does not include food allergies and additions of poisonous substances for homicidal purpose, or let's say for killing someone. If somebody adds poisonous substance into food, then it is not included in food poisoning. So first we'll study bacteria. So there are many bacteria that can cause food poisoning, and so almost all. So these bacteria usually cause infective food poisoning or gastroenteritis, right? But it can also be, they can also produce toxins and cause toxic form of food poisoning. Right? And the bacteria that causes food poisoning are Salmonella, Streptococci, Staphylococci, Vibrio cholera, and other species of Vibrio. They can be Shigella, and they usually result in diarrhea and vomiting. Okay? And the most common bacteria to cause food poisoning is Staphylococcus aureus. Okay, so this can be asked in MCQ. So most common bacterial organism that causes food poisoning is Staph aureus. And the toxic form, so toxins released from bacteria such as Staph and Bacillus, and Clostridium botulinum, they can cause toxic form of food poisoning. Toxic form of food poisoning, vomiting is more predominant than diarrhea. So first is Staphylococcus, right? So it is a gram-positive cocci, and they are common bacteria causing food poisoning. Okay? And the sources are they grow in protein-containing food like meat, milk, and milk products. Right? And usually pasteurization can kill these bacteria, and these bacteria can also produce some enterotoxins, A2, E, and H. And its incubation period is 1 to 6 hours. And I think this has also the shortest incubation period. अरूको usually 12 hours to days हुन्छ भने यसको चाहिँ 1 to 6 hours मा the patient or the victim will have symptoms. Second bacteria is Salmonella. These are gram negative rods, and they are motile. And these bacteria can grow aerobically as well as anaerobically. And they also grow in protein-rich food like egg, milk, and milk products. And they have different species of Salmonella. Salmonella typhi causes typhoid fever, whereas other species of Salmonella can cause Salmonella enterocolitis, food poisoning. And other species includes Salmonella typhimurium, enteritidis, header, paratyphi, and merium. And this bacteria can also produce some enterotoxin, and it has an incubation period of around 12 to 36 hours. So this is Vibrio cholerae. So this is also gram-negative curve bacteria, and Vibrio cholera causes cholera, whereas other species of Vibrio can cause food poisoning, like Vibrio vulnificus, Vibrio mimicus, parahemolyticus. These can cause food poisoning. And the sources are they are usually found in contaminated water, food, and other seafoods, right? Like oysters, crabs. Yeah, so in these seafoods, these bacteria can grow, and they also produce some toxins, which are heat labile toxins. And the incubation period is usually 1 to 5 days. So next bacteria is E. coli. So E. coli are gram-negative rods, and there are different pathogenic strains of E. coli. Right? Usually there are 6: right? Enteropathogenic E. coli, enterotoxigenic, enteroinvasive, enterohemorrhagic, enteroaggregative, and enteroadherent. And these E. coli can cause different types of diarrhea. Right? And first strain, enteropathogenic, can cause diarrhea in infant and children, whereas enterotoxigenic can cause traveler's diarrhea, which are cholera-like illnesses. Enteroinvasive can cause dysentery, Shigella-like dysentery. Enterohemorrhagic E. coli can cause hemorrhagic colitis. Okay. And so E. coli can also produce toxins. Shigella-like toxin, right? Shigella-like toxin can be produced by enterohemorrhagic E. coli, and they are also found in contaminated food and water, and inadequately cooked meat and raw milk. And the incubation period is around 9 to 12 hours. Other bacteria include Campylobacter, Campylobacter jejuni, coli, and Larry. So these can also cause food poisoning. These are S-shaped gram-negative motile bacteria, and they also cause for a significant number of food poisoning. And they are also found in uncooked meat, unpasteurized milk, and contaminated water, and its incubation period is 1 to 7 days. So another bacteria is Clostridium. So there are different species of Clostridium. So among them, Clostridium botulinum can cause food poisoning. Right? Other species include Clostridium perfringens, which causes gangrene, gas gangrene, and Clostridium tetani, which causes tetanus. Right? And food poisoning is usually caused by Clostridium botulinum and sometimes Clostridium perfringens. And there is another species, one more species of Clostridium, which is called, does anyone have any idea? So another species is called Clostridium difficile, and it causes antibiotic associated diarrhea. So in patient who take antibiotics for a long period of time, in them what happens is the normal flora is also killed. Okay? And in this, there is a which will promote the growth of the bacteria called Clostridium difficile. Right? So botulinum. So in this, food poisoning is caused by botulinum and Clostridium botulinum, and this bacteria can produce toxin, which is known as botulinum toxin. Right? And there are 7 strains of botulinum toxins, right? A to G, right? And C has C1 and C2. And A is, I think A is the most potent toxin. Strain A is the most potent strain of this toxin. And they usually do not grow in the body. Right? So what happens is when we consume these botulinum toxin, Clostridium botulinum contaminated food, they will enter our GI tract, and as this bacteria degrades, they will release the toxin. Okay? And these toxins are neurotoxins. So these toxins will enter the preganglionic nerve terminals by endocytosis and binds to the cell membrane, and it inhibits calcium-dependent exocytosis and prevents release of acetylcholine, okay? And it can cause paralysis, okay, by presynaptic blockage. So nerve impulse transmission cannot occur. So sources are canned food, and any canned food, Clostridium botulinum can grow in canned foods, and it can be canned meat, canned fish, and canned pickles. Okay? And Clostridium botulinum can also infect children through infected honey. So if infants, so if infants are fed with honey, and if that honey is infected, these infants can develop symptoms of paralysis. Okay? So it is not advisable to feed honey to the infants. So हाम्रोमा चाहिँ चलनमा चाहिँ कहिलेकाहीँ हनीहरू खुवाउने चलनहरू छ, which should not be done. So its incubation period is 12 to 36 hours. So clinical feature, most of these, all these bacteria will initially cause GI symptoms. Yeah? There may be pain, abdomen, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and if it is infective, then there can be fever. If it is toxin mediated, then there may not be fever, and there may be associated dehydration, weakness, and shock. The patient may go into shock. And in Streptococcus aureus, vomiting is more severe than diarrhea, and blood may be stool may be blood stained in cases of Salmonella, Shigella, and E. coli. And diarrhea is watery, rice watery in Vibrio and enteropathogenic E. coli. And in botulinum toxin, they can also present with symptoms of neurological manifestations like symptoms of paralysis. Right? So first they will present with ptosis, and there may be difficulty in visual accommodation, photophobia, diplopia, mydriasis, nystagmus, and other extraocular muscle paralysis. There may also be dysphagia, dysphonia, dysarthria, dryness of mouth. So these are all signs of loss of nerve conduction because of blockage of acetylcholine. And the paralysis may be descending, symmetrical descending flaccid motor paralysis. So it mimics Guillain-Barré syndrome. In Guillain-Barré syndrome also there may be symmetrical descending paralysis, and death can be due to respiratory failure. So among all this poisoning, botulinum toxin is fatal because it causes paralysis. So it can cause paralysis of respiratory muscle failure and cause death, and it can mimic GBS. So diagnosis is, I think, easy, right? Just based on history, one can diagnose this condition. And after consuming contaminated food, the patient develops GI symptoms, or followed by neurological symptoms, then we can suspect food poisoning. And it should be, and we can also do blood test. And a blood test, routine blood investigation, RFT, LFT, or गर्न सकिन्छ. And अब सकमा छ भने the patient may go into prerenal azotemia. So RFT डिटेन छ कि छैन तिनीहरू हेर्नलाई चाहिँ blood test or investigation can be done. And routine stool examination and stool culture can also be done to isolate the organism. And penicillin test or electromyography can be done for electromyography to for the muscles, muscle paralysis in botulinum toxin. And in infant botulinum, they are due to ingestion of contaminated honey, and penicillin test is unreliable in this for infant botulinum, and stool test should be done. So treatment is supportive. And initially, treatment is supportive. We'll give ORS if the patient can take orally, or we'll give IV fluids. Antiemetics can be given, and usually they subside within 2 to 3 days of supportive treatment. But in some condition, they may require antibiotics, like fluoroquinolone cephalosporins for Salmonella and Shigella, doxycycline tetracycline for Vibrio cholera, and cotrimoxazole for Campylobacter. In case of botulinum toxin, botulinum poisoning, the patient might need ICU management, because they may develop respiratory muscle paralysis, and they may require intubation. And sometimes, if available, botulinum antitoxin may be given, and penicillin can be given if the botulinum toxin poisoning is due to exposure of wound. घाउबाट सरेको छ भने पेनिसिलिनहरु दिन सकिन्छ. So prevention of food poisoning. So it is general knowledge, right? So they can be prevented by properly cooking our food, vegetables and meats, not to keep cooked food at a temperature of 4 to 60 degrees Celsius. So it should be refrigerated, and if kept above 40 degrees, they should not be kept for more than 4 hours. And boiling or heating the meal before eating will usually destroy these bacteria and these organisms. And high salt concentration can prevent the germination of these spores. And if there is any doubt, we should discard such food. And lastly, honey should not be fed to children, infants. So its medical legal significance. So they are not used for homicidal purpose, and they are purely accidental. And in Western countries, they usually prefer canned food. Canned, even vegetables are found in. We can get vegetables in can. So if such canned food are contaminated, they might get botulinum poisoning. So there is a term called tomens. So this can also be asked in your MCQs. So tomens are alkaloids which are formed as a result of bacterial decomposition of protein. So these are formed in meat. So protein containing meat during the process of digestion or decomposition of this protein content of the meat, the bacteria will by the bacteria, it forms tomens. So they can be formed in dead tissue, which are called cadaveric alkaloids. And these alkaloids, if secreted by living cells during metabolism, they are called leucamines. And tomens are found only when the food is disagreeably to be eaten. So sometimes raw meat or there may be greenish discoloration of the meat. So this is due to tolmens. And the example of tolmens are methylalanine, neurin, mydelin, and neurin and mydelin are poisonous. And if we consume such food, such meat, then we may have symptoms which are similar to atropine overdose. So the second organism is fungi. Right? In bacteria, there may be other bacteria as well, and Shigella or पनि हुन सक्छ, but these are more common bacteria. So fungi, they include fungi or molds that grow on food and also poisonous mushrooms. Okay? So fungi that grow on our food can produce various toxins, right, which are called mycotoxins. And these fungi or molds grow in our food, usually cereals, maize, and nuts, peanuts. So they usually grow in our food in warm and humid climate. Okay? And one of the fungi or mold that grow in maize, nuts, grains are Aspergillus flavus, right? And it produces a toxin called aflatoxin. Another type of fungi is Claviceps purpura. Okay? It grows on wheat, barley, okay? And it produces a toxic alkaloid called ergot alkaloid. Okay? I think we have discussed Claviceps purpura in plant irritant and ergot alkaloid. So Aspergillus flavus, these are greenish mold that grows on these grains like maize, peanuts, okay? And if you consume such food, usually there will be, in acute phase, there will be GI symptoms, nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and there may be, in severe cases, there may be convulsion, pulmonary edema, and cerebral edema, right? And there may also be blood abnormalities, bleeding disorders because of damage to liver. Okay? So, and on chronic exposure, it can cause liver failure, cirrhosis, and hepatocellular carcinoma. So, among all these toxins, aflatoxin is carcinogenic as well. Using carcinogenic, so long term, if we consume such food, then we may develop hepatocellular carcinoma. Okay? And similarly, there may also be renal failure, and it may also damage our heart and can cause death. So this is Claviceps purpura, which grow on these cereals. Okay? So it has a potent toxin called ergot alkaloid, and ergot has medicinal uses as well. And these are smooth muscle constrictor, and they causes constriction of smooth muscles. So they are used for postpartum hemorrhages, right, to control bleeding. But their side effect are they can also cause gangrene. So gangrene because they also causes constriction of blood vessels. And so the blood vessel, peripheral blood vessels are like finger, blood vessel, severe constriction badness, and they can cause gangrene of fingers and toes. So mushrooms are also fungi, and there are many thousands of species of mushroom, right? And among these, only 5% of these mushrooms are poisonous, right? And all the most of the poisonous mushroom belongs to a family of mushroom called Basidiomycetes or Ascomycetes. And there are some Nepalese myth regarding wild mushroom. Okay? So all wild mushrooms are not poisonous. Some of them may be edible, but it is very difficult to distinguish. So one of the myth is, if the poisonous mushroom discolors silver coin during cooking, it is edible mushroom. So discoloration, it is not edible once again. So which is also not true. It may be edible as well or non-edible. And so silver coin, mushroom पकाइसकेपछि silver coin हाल्यो भने, if there is greenish or bluish discoloration around that silver coin, that is poisonous भन्ने एउटा myth छ, which is not always true. So if there is no discoloration, it might be poisonous. Poisonous mushroom will change an onion from its usual color during cooking. Most poisonous mushrooms may change, but not all. So change onion को color change भएन, this is non poisonous भनेर ढुक्क भएर खानु भएन. And mushrooms eaten by cat, dog, monkey or snails are safe to eat. So most of the time they may be safe to eat, but not always, because some species of mushroom may not be poisonous to these animals, but they may be poisonous to human. And the poisonous mushroom will lose their poisonous property when cooked with some vinegar or timur. So this is also a myth. Poisonous mushrooms having a fruity smell are always safe to eat. And this is also a myth. And mushroom with bitter, acrid or pungent taste are poisonous. So this is also a myth. So poisonous नहुन पनि सक्छ. Smooth cap mushrooms are edible, but not all. Sabai smooth cap mushrooms are not edible, and they may be poisonous as well. So this is Amanita muscaria. So this is a poisonous mushroom, okay? And it has muscarinic effect. When we consume this poison, they will have muscarinic effect, and its symptoms resemble parasympathetic postganglionic stimulation. Right? Parasympathetic symptoms are also, and it has a toxin called amatoxin. Similarly, this is Amanita phylloides. It is also known as death cap. This is Amanita concentrica, Amanita verna. And so this is this has a rough surface, and it is poisonous, but this has smooth surface. But this is poisonous. So this is Cortinarium gentilis, and this is psilocybe. Right? So psilocybe is also known as magic mushroom, right? And they contain a toxin called psilocybin. Right? And this mushroom, when ingested, acts like a psychedelic drug, and which action is similar to LSD, right? And they can cause hallucinations with altered sensorium. So some people can consume this mushroom by themselves, and for its hallucinogenic property, right? For recreational purpose. Okay? So this mushroom is also called magic mushroom. So clinical feature of most of these mushroom are very similar, and so they are all hepatotoxic. Most of these mushrooms are hepatotoxic, and some have additional hallucinogenic or muscarinic property. And so when ingested, they first act on our GIT, causing GI symptoms. And in second phase, the patient may recover from this GI symptom, and on third phase, they may develop hepatic and renal failure. And usually hepatic failure, liver failure ma jन्छ. So usually third to fourth day ma चाहिँ they may present with symptoms of liver failure. So it is better to keep this patient under observation at least for a week, right? Because एक दुई दिनमा symptom improve भयो भनेर discharge गरिसकेपछि they may go home and they may again present with symptoms of liver failure, and death may occur within 7 to 10 days. So in phase 3, there may be hepatic manifestations. There may be jaundice, elevation of bilirubin, ALT, AST. There may be hypoglycemia, coagulopathy, and encephalopathy. Hepatic encephalopathy or where they will present with altered sensorium. There may also be cardiovascular collapse, ARDS, polyneuropathy, and renal failure as a result of hypovolemia or hepatorenal syndrome, or sometimes the direct toxicity of the toxins from this poisonous mushroom. And the treatment is usually symptomatic and supportive. Okay? And sometimes N-acetylcysteine can also be given. Right? So N-acetylcysteine has protective action on liver. So it is also used in paracetamol poisoning. And paracetamol induced liver injury ma pani N-acetylcysteine haru din sakiन्छ. And other hepatoprotective drugs like cimetidine or silibin can also be tried. And in cases of liver failure, IV dextrose should be given to prevent hypoglycemia. And so liver failure ma glucose metabolism huँदैन, so patient may develop hypoglycemia. And hepatic encephalopathy can be prevented by giving lactulose. And FFP, fresh frozen plasma, is given to treat if there is coagulopathy. And in liver failure, in last stage, liver transplant may be necessary. So autopsy findings are non-specific. There may be particles or remains of mushroom in the GIT. GI mucosa may be inflamed. There may be features of liver damage and enlarged liver, fatty changes in liver, or there may be features of hepatitis and enlarged liver with blunt margins. So liver margin or blunt हुँदैन hepatitis ma, and the liver appears firm in consistency. So normal consistency of liver is friable. So in hepatitis, the consistency is firm to hard. There may be petechial hemorrhages on the surface of heart and pleura, and sometimes there may be cerebral edema. Brain may be edematous if the patient develops encephalopathy. आवाज आइरहेछ है, क्लियर आइरहेछ?
Yes, sir.
So another agent is plants. So plant poison हामीले पहिला पनि डिस्कस गर्यौं है, but this is different हैन. So plant poison or plant irritant are different from plant poison. These plants that causes food poisoning, okay? Because the plants like this one, and this is Argemone mexicana, also known as Mexican poppy or prickly poppy or yellow poppy. So plant देखेछौ कहिले? अघि देखाएको plant. This is Argemone mexicana. So do you know anything about this?
Sir, mustard ko seed जस्तै यसको पनि त्यो बिउ जस्तो.
Yes, so this causes the seed of this plant is similar to seed of mustard. So so it is adulterated with mustard seed to produce mustard oil. So oil extracted from Americana Argemone mexicana is adulterated with mustard oil, and it contains toxins like sanguinarine and hydrosanguinarine, and the seed resembles mustard seed. And these plants are also found in our country. Mexico ma body paints, but it is also present in, or it also grows in our country. So this is the fruit. So it has spines. Fruit ma pani spine huncha, leaf ma pani spines haru huncha, and these are the seeds. So the toxin in this Americana mexicana can cause increased permeability of blood vessels, and they can also cause proteinuria and increased protein loss from urine. So there will be hypoproteinemia and increased permeability of blood vessels. So what happens is all the fluid from the intravascular compartment will leak into our third space, pleural cavity, peritoneal cavity, pericardium fluid accumulate or even our interstitium, your subcutaneous tissue fluid leak. So these people appear bloated, ascites or generalized anasarca. They may also develop generalized anasarca, generalized body swelling. So the symptoms of the patient who have clinical symptom of this Argemone mexicana, they are called epidemic dropsy. It is called epidemic dropsy because at one time they cause epidemics. the symptoms of these Argemone mexicana, these were epidemic in India. Every time it was epidemic. They were seen in almost all the people in that area. So so they had these symptoms, and the symptoms usually include, so they usually begin with GI symptoms, and on chronic phase, and after long time of ingesting such contaminated oil, they develop edema of hand, feet, and they develop ascites, pleural effusion, pericardial effusion. So when all the fluid are in extravascular compartment, they can develop hypovolemia. So hypovolemia le garदाखेरि renal failure हुन सक्छ, and they may also develop right heart failure, where they will present with cough, dyspnea, orthopnea, and enlarged liver. Liver enlargement, ascites, pleural effusion, these are all signs of heart failure. So this patient can develop these features. Argemone mexicana. So because of proteinuria and increased vascular permeability, fluid will accumulate in pleural cavity, peritoneal cavity, and they may develop heart failure. So treatment is withdrawal of such contaminated oil, and protein-rich diet, because they will have proteinuria and hypoalbuminuria. Antioxidants can be given, vitamin C and vitamin E with vitamin B, and sometimes steroids and diuretics are helpful, and usually symptomatic treatment can be done. So medical legal significance. So first outbreak occurred in India, Calcutta, 1877. There was first outbreak of this of these symptoms, which was later found to be due to contamination of mustard oil by seeds of or oil extracted from seeds of Argemone mexicana. Then most recent occurred in 1998 in India, Delhi, and at around same time an outbreak occurred in Nepal as well. 1998 and 1999 Nepal there was an outbreak, and there was 76 deaths due to this epidemic dropsy. So let's say epidemic dropsy vanera naam diyo. So this is the seed, Argemone seed versus mustard seeds, and this is the Argemone oil and mustard oil. So this is Lathyrus sativa, so this is also known as green pea or chickling pea or Indian pea. So it resembles pea, in its size, its fruit, they resemble pea. So but its seeds are used as lentil, and dal ko jasto use गरिन्छ. So its seed is known as kesari dal, and it is used as dal, and they are commonly used in low economic or low income families, because they are easy to cultivate and cheap. So it is a variety of pulse that grow in extreme condition of drought. Even extreme condition of these plants can grow, and it is a staple food for most of the low income people, and it is also a good source of nutrients, but it has a drawback. It contains a neurotoxin, which has an ill effect on health. But this toxin is in very minimal amount, and on consumption of seeds in large quantity can cause poisoning. Right? So if the diet is more than 30% of total diet, and if we consume such diet for more than 6 months, then we can develop symptoms of this, or we can develop toxicity. Okay? So it contains an active principle known as beta oxyl aminoalanine. Okay? So it is a neurotoxin, okay? And its poisoning can be, or its toxicity can be acute, subacute, or insidious. Okay? And it usually causes spastic paralysis. So botulinum causes flaccid paralysis. This Lataria sativa causes spastic paralysis. Right? So initially it begins with weakness, and the person will have difficulty in walking, or the person may be unable to walk without aid. Right? And there may be spastic gait, and lastly spastic paraplegia. The tone and size of muscles are maintained, and the deep tendon reflexes are exaggerated. Right? There may be exaggerated knee jerk, ankle jerk, or ankle clonus. Right? And the Babinski's sign is positive. So Babinski's sign भनेर sign भन्ने थाहा छ है? Do you know? Do you know what is Babinski's sign? So Babinski's sign भनेको if we, so हाम्रो plantar surface, foot plantar surface, if we strike or if we scratch at the lateral aspect of our plantar aspect of our sole, हाम्रो सोलको चाहिँ plantar aspect मा चाहिँ scratch गर्यो भने normally our toes will flex, हैन, plantar flexion हुन्छ हाम्रो toesहरुको, हैन. But in case of Babinski's sign, हैन, Babinski's positive भयो भने the toes will extend, dorsi extension, dorsiflexion हुन्छ, हैन. The toes will fan out. यो चाहिँ अर्को चाहिँ हामीले stroke, in patient of stroke, cerebrovascular accident मा पनि Babinski's sign is positive. Okay? And death is rare because in this spastic paralysis, respiratory muscles are usually not involved. So death is very rare in this poisoning. Okay? And in autopsy, there may be sclerosis of lateral column of spinal cord. And we can take precaution by avoiding daily diet, avoiding this seed in our daily diet. So kesari dal चाहिँ दिनदिनै खानु भएन, or paraboiling this seed will remove most of the toxins, and then we can consume such seed. So there may be other causes of food poisoning as well, which are very rare in our context, because we हाम्रो context मा चाहिँ the seafood are very less commonly consumed. Other causes may be castor oil food, oil fish poisoning, shellfish poisoning, marine fish, goat fish. There may be puffer fish, which is very poisonous, toxic fish. And other viral causes of food poisoning may be there, like rotavirus, adenovirus, parvovirus, and there may be parasites as well, like Entamoeba histolytica. So this viral causes of food poisoning is also called gastroenteritis, because virus मा चाहिँ खासै टक्सिनहरु भन्दा पनि the virus causes infection, and infection of infective form हुन्छ, which is called gastroenteritis. Okay, so that's it. Okay, thank you.